Hi, today I want to talk about my trip to the White House. So as you probably know, that I was chosen as a volunteer to decorate the White House this year, and it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I was there for 7 days, and it was really once in a lifetime experience. So the first couple days we actually were in a warehouse. So we started getting things prepped and ready to go. And so as we would box things, we would put things in a White House box, and then we had to set it out to let the bomb sniffing dogs go through. And then we had to put them on trucks. And then the third day, then the trucks got delivered to the White House, so we had to unpack the trucks that we packed. And so we got to run around the White House. So the first couple days was really pretty neat. I felt like I was just running through the halls of the White House. You would grab a box and go, red room, you'd run to the red room. You'd go, green room, so you'd go to the green room. So I got to know the White House very, very up close and personal. But kind of a neat story that I wanted to share with you. One night I was in the hotel, and I happened to catch the documentary about JFK assassination. And I'm really glad that I caught this when I was up there. It was showing the White House back in 1964, and they had a really neat segment where he was actually in the East Room. He was there for the family to view him, and they were taking his casket down the front north steps. So the next day when I went in, I actually kind of got there a little early, and I actually was in the East Room, and so it was a really good reflection to think about the history alone of what the White House is. The White House is several things. It's the seat of the government, it's a museum, and also it's a residence for the first family. So I actually learned a lot while I was there, although it was over the top to make it in this beautiful, magical place was also very neat. But I just kind of thought I'd like to share a little bit about that, how interesting it really was about all the history. Okay, on a happy note now, I was selected to do the Vermeer room, and the Vermeer room is a beautiful room. It has 4 or 5 portraits of the First Lady there. So when you first walk in, you see Jackie Onassis, of course, everyone's true love for a First Lady. She was there, but above the mantle was the Lady Bird Johnson. And it was so cool to do this beautiful piece on the mantle. And as I got it done, I stepped back. I noticed that her cheeks were rosy and her lipstick looked a little bit redder that you're going to see in the photos. So that was kind of fun to kind of see her come to life. So there was 2 trees and the mantle that I got to do in there. So we're going to start looking at some pictures now. So this is the east entrance. This is the entrance that we came and went out of every day. And so we had a 3-point security check to get into the White House itself. And once we got there, we actually had to check our phones. So we didn't have our phones until Monday, the last day, as in we actually had a reception with the First Lady. So this is how we came and went. Here, this crew that worked on the outside, they 24-karat gold leaf, those big, beautiful stars. So that was things that they worked on when they were at the White House. Here is the painting of Jackie Onassis Kennedy. And when I first got in there, when I was looking at her, I thought, oh my, she looks with a very long face. And I had found out it was after the assassination. Most of the First Ladies' paintings are done in the White House, but her picture actually was painted in her New York apartment. But it was very sad to see her in such a somber face. Okay, so we did 2 trees in the room. This is the one to the left, and it was done in burgundies and pinks. Then here's this beautiful mantle that I did. It has tons of silks on it, and that's Lady Bird Johnson above it. Then you can see the 2 trees, and then we have Jackie Onassis Kennedy right here in the middle. In this photo, as you can see, I'm putting the bow on the top of the tree. And this gal that was with me here in this photo is Carrie Perry from Cincinnati. She was my partner in crime for the week. We sure did bond pretty quick. I was actually privileged enough to be able to do some wreaths for outside. This is a massive wreath that I made, and we're actually going to hang that. I had to cut that apart and loop it around that big light. And when you start doing things like that, all of a sudden you get like 2 or 3 maintenance guys coming out of nowhere to see what the heck you were doing, hanging stuff on the White House. Carrie and I were kind of giggling as we were doing it. On this photo, they had 1,400 doves in the front foyer of the White House. And I actually made 100 of those doves, and they had fishing line that they hung from the ceiling. They actually made a grid system, and that hung up there. So that was kind of neat to watch that whole process. This is the mantle in the library that I got to do, and in the library they did a very retro with candies and ceramic Christmas trees. Who thought they'd ever come back in style? But they used a whole bunch of them in the library there. This is how I clustered the balls to put on the tree. I took a very long, heavy gauge wire, and then I just kept adding ornaments to it. I've had a lot of people ask me about that. So it was just something that, it's like making a garland, so to speak. So that's kind of what I did to get the cluster look. This gal, she was the White House florist. She came into her room and she was kind of talking, and I said, "Hey, by chance, are you the florist for here?" She said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I need to get a picture of you." So she was gracious and kind enough to do a photo. And then I said, "Hey, when you retire, I want your job." She said, "You can have it. I'm retired in about 3 years." So I said, "Okay, I'll put my name in the hat for your job." So we started laughing about that. The red room sure did not disappoint. It was a smaller tree, but it sure had a big visual impact with the gold packages below. The green tree, or the green room, was beautiful. It had lots of jewel tones on it, and I'm not real sure what the history behind the ornaments, but it looked like somebody had made them all. They were pretty stunning. And the famous White House gingerbread. They actually did that in the China room, and the China room was right next to the Vermeil room, so I was kind of watching it come to life. And HGTV, they were there filming while we were all decorating and running around. And I know there'll be a big segment about bringing the gingerbread into the dining room. So you'll have to make sure you catch that on HGTV. Here is the great shot of the south lawn. And you can see my 2 wreaths down below on the lights. And the last photo is when we were walking out of the White House. I got one more last glimpse to reflect upon my amazing week and the amazing friends that I have found. So I stuck my camera through the gate and snapped one last photo for memories. Well, that was my big trip. I sure hope that you enjoyed it. I would love to see comments, what you guys have to say. I'm not sure if I'll apply next year. I had such a wonderful experience. I'm not real sure. But I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas.